Probably the number one use case with AI today is software development, but you don't need to be a software developer to utilize AI. One of the ways people are doing this right now is through vibe coding. There are tools like Bolt.new which help everyday people talk to an AI agent software developer to help you make an app. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to use Bolt.new to show you what you can produce in under 15 minutes thanks to AI. I'm also going to show you this in Cursor and Claude Code. Even though Bolt.new is going to probably come up with a great outcome, understanding and investing some time learning Cursor and learning Claude Code is going to put you in a really good position to continuously use AI in a much more powerful way in the future. Because it's probably not as technical as you think. Once you understand the fundamentals, you're going to be so much more powerful in all your AI efforts if you can utilize Claude and Cursor. Before jumping in, we actually want to come up with a bit of a plan for what we're building. And we want to use Claude in this case to come up with a PRD or product requirement document to help us articulate our vision for what we're trying to build. So what I'm going to do here is open up Claude, and I've got a really basic prompt that essentially sets the context for what this Claude interaction is going to look like. So I'm saying, hey, it should be an AI engineer, PM, focus in UX. I want it to come up with a PRD for an MVP. That's a minimum viable product. It should take less than 24 hours to build. Ask me one question, ideally one at a time, until you completely understand what the product is. So using that as a starting prompt, I think is going to, I've had the most success in generating really solid MVP starting points for app development with AI agents. So what's the actual idea I want to test out here? I want to make a social network calendar app for runners and run clubs. So I'm actually personally part of a run club, and we manage all our runs through WhatsApp, and it gets quite chaotic. And I think this is a perfect example of something to build with AI as a bit of a proof of concept. What we're building today is not going to be something that you can go out and sell and start using, tomorrow, but it's a really useful tool for you to share with friends, family, or this run club itself, and get some validation on whether or not this is something you should spend a bit more time building out. So I prompt that into Claude, and it starts to analyze the problem, but it's going to ask me a series of questions. And this is where you, depending on your level of AI capability and how many times you've done this, can understand and help refine the scope or keep it as it is. And then towards the end, you can adjust the PRD to be less technical. And one way of doing that, for example, is through a local first development approach. So what that means is instead of hooking up a backend and a database to that backend, you can just have everything run kind of locally inside of your device. So instead of you connecting to real data, you're going to use essentially dummy data and just be able to interact with it on your device rather than it be actually live and interactive with the database. So I'm okay to accept that here, and then at the end, I'm going to add that into the PRD. But you can see it does a back and forth between me and itself, just clarifying quite a few things. So I'm just tightening this up, and ultimately within 5 minutes, it's going to actually come up with this PRD. As I read through that, I notice it's a bit off. So I get it to do one tiny update, and there it is. So from this, I'm ultimately going to put that into Bolt and put that into Cursor and get going. So right now I'm in Cursor, and I've loaded up a new project directory. For this, it's really simple, and it's actually not as technical as you might think. Essentially, I know, and from that conversation with Claude, I know that I'm going to be using Next.js, and I'm happy to do that myself. So I can come to Next.js and initialize a new project simply by entering this command into the terminal. Now, I've already done that just to save some time, but it takes a minute, and it's not that difficult once you go through the instructions. And if you're ever unsure, you can just ask your AI chat how to actually install Next.js. But it's getting so good that it can ultimately pretty much do it itself if you really wanted to. So with this project, we can start by creating the PRD and pasting this in here. So the only thing that I've changed between the initial response from Claude is adding in this item, which is item 0, which is, again, just a reminder to build this with local state management and to not build out the back end, because we do have comments about the back end. But I'm going to initiate Claude Code, and I'm going to ask it to describe PRD MD. And so that's essentially going to read this and get it to describe what we're trying to build here with a bit of understanding. So it's not going to do any code, but we can see that we've correctly imported this document. So it comes up with a plan initially, just out of the gate to actually code this. So I didn't need to prompt it. I was in plan mode. So it's asking now for permission to me or from me to actually do this. But what I want to do first is just make sure it fully understands the code base. So I'm going to force it to actually fully unpack the structure and any other files that might have been in here. So this, if we were adding in any more requirements or screenshots or any other links, then we ultimately want that to be in the context of this AI agent. So it doesn't take too long, and it will ultimately ask us to create a new file, or for it to create a new file, kind of analyzing what's going on. And we can see that here. So I can say yes. Yeah, so that's creating the Claude MD file, which just summarizes the basis of the approach So it's going to create the Claude MD file, which is essentially a hub of understanding of all the things that are going on in its project. So we can see it's created this file, and we can see that it correctly has picked up the PRD and the project overview, and talks about a bit of the kind of current structure. So that all looks good. So now let's plan the building of this MVP given the PRD. So now it's actually going to step-by-step break this out into a couple of key phases. It's not going to write any code in this instance because we're on plan mode still. So it's just going to come up with the plan, and this is going to help it reduce the number of errors and issues it faces. So we'll see what the, I didn't even press enter, but make sure all flows and pages are incorporated in the plan. So I'm essentially wanting it to try to do its best to do everything in one shot. So now it's going to actually go through and create the plan, and this should take probably 30 seconds or so. So once again, it's knowing all that it knows about the project is going to create the step-by-step for the actual agent to do the work here. And we should be able to see those phases broken out clearly. Cool. So here are the phases. So we can see foundation and infrastructure. So set up all the basic documents, dummy data, authentication and user system, mock authentication flow. So that's good. It's understanding this local first approach. Connection system, so how the runners are connected to each other. Run creation and management, run discovery and feed, social features and interactions, mobile optimization and polish. It shows core pages, core components, and these core flows that we talked about. So would you like to proceed? We'll say yes. It's currently 9:28 in the morning, and I'm guessing this is going to take about 10 minutes to produce an output. So there's no additional work we'll need to do other than initially, because this is a new project directory, we might need to grant Claude Code some permission to make files. But you can see it's come up with a really comprehensive to-do list just for phase one, or maybe multiple phases actually. And here's an example of something that it's a command, given it's AI running on your computer, it's asking us for permission to make certain files and install packages. So we've just got to say yes as it pops up, but it's very easy and simple to do. Cool. So while this goes and while this happens, I'm going to do the same thing in Bolt to show you what a slightly easier option of making this is. Bolt.new is one of the leading generative coding websites. The benefit of using this over Cursor and Claude Code is you don't need to install anything. You can simply come to Bolt.new, create a free account, and paste the prompt and get going. So we're going to take the same prompt and post it here. In fairness, I'm also going to include this final line, which is what I did in Cursor, which is making sure all flows and pages are incorporated. And I'm going to have this start. So I'm just going to start the project. So I'm just going to essentially start this, and I've already got this running from a minute ago. So it's the same prompt, just starting. So this, I assume, is also going to take about 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm going to pause the video and come back to it once we've got our results. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes and we've got the results from Bolt.new. And I have a feeling this is going to be really impressive. And the reason that is you can see as I'm scrolling in this kind of chat panel, I haven't said anything. So I literally just did the initial prompt, and over about 10 minutes, you can see it page by page create new files and automatically start up the application in this preview mode. And the reason I think it's going to work is that even out of the gate, it's got demo username with several different users. So to me, that shows that it's really understood that this is a local first approach and the multiple flows and multiple users that are going to be on this. So I'll pick Mike Marathon, and I assume it's just going to be a dummy password. So if I click in there, bang, I'm in. Welcome back, Mike. And we've got this kind of feed style. It's mobile friendly. So I think if I go device mode, yeah, this is perfect. And this is, if you wanted to do a mobile app, I would ultimately still do it in this React web framework first, and then port this over to iOS using a different tool if you want. But we can see this is perfectly formatted for mobile, but still works on desktop. So if we leave it in mobile view, we can see that this is a feed, and we can see kind of all these runs that are most likely from people in our network that we have the ability to join. So we can click into this, which is super nice. So it understands the level of depth that we can click into this run, and we can see the participants. We can see all the details. If I click join run, here I go, Mike Chen, and now I've got the ability to comment. So it's understood that maybe you should only be allowed to comment if you are part of the run. Test, and beautiful. You can see that this test works perfectly. So really impressive. The fact that I haven't written any code and that this was all AI generated is really impressive. So here now I can search for all runs. Very similar again. I can see which ones I've joined, which ones I haven't. And when I click into them, I've also got the ability to connect with this runner. So now I've connected with Alex Rodriguez, and I can see that I've connected with him. So this is his profile page, and I can see the runs that he's got upcoming. So perfectly understood the assignment. So that was from the runs page. On the connections page, I can search by username, scan a QR code. That doesn't work, that's fine. Share profile link, that doesn't work, that's fine. This is a really great first effort, and you don't actually need those to work. Your connections, so we can see we just added Alex, and we can't unfollow people, but that's fine. It's done a really good job of showing the idea about what I'm trying to do with connections. And finally, profile. So I can do all of this, see my profile, see my runs, manage accounts, I'm sure. And then it's strategically put the new runs button up here, so I can come up here and say fun 5K. I can choose the date, choose the time, choose the location. I'll choose Sydney. I'll do 5.5K just to make sure, and 1 minute. So, and ideally we're going to see that in the future here on the exact date that I put in, July 24th, fun 5K, 0 participants. I should probably have the ability to join, but it made it, it understood it, put it inside the context, and ultimately this is a great outcome. 10 minutes, absolutely zero code, nailed it. I think largely, hopefully because of partially the prompt. It shows you the power of a good prompt, and we've got a great result here. So from here, I could, I'm sure, ask it to make a backend and integrate it with the database if this is what I want to build. Otherwise, I would iterate in this chat component until I got what I wanted. So that's bolt.new, and I think it's done a really good job here. Okay, so the cursor / Claude code agent has finished. It took closer to 30 minutes, which is still incredibly fast. And let's see if the wait was worth it compared to bolt.new. So I'll come in and run the server. So I can click into this here and load it up. So first thing that's quite interesting out of the gate is that it created a landing page. This wasn't part of the initial requirements, but I think it's taken some initiative here to build a landing page for runners to come to get a bit more about the app. The first thing I noticed though is some of the text issues. Like, this is incredibly hard to read, so a bit of a miss on the UI styling for this font. But if we click in, let's start to see what it looks like. And yeah, once again, we can see a bit of an issue here. I wonder if I could register, but similar to the bolt.new one, yeah, we can see some usernames for pre-populated accounts, which a dummy password, I'm assuming, and that gets us in here. And really nice and really similar to the other option. At the end of the day, LLMs, you know, maybe they're using the same model, and in which case you get similar outcomes for the same prompt. So the idea here is that while I'm very excited about Cursor and Claude Code, being AI native and being up to date with what AI can do is almost more important than the tool you use, because this is a very similar outcome at the top level. So we can see a list of upcoming runs. We can see that these are all runs we're part of because we have the option to leave them or join them. So that's really nice there. In theory, if I leave this, I guess it should refresh off the page, but not a huge issue there. So let's click into the run itself. So we can see here again, very challenging font choice color, but this would be a quick fix. And at the end of the day, these aren't perfect, but we can see all what we want to see. And if we leave the run, we lose the ability to comment, which is a really nice UX decision that we made, and it shows that it understands there. Test comment, if we post that, we can see that it appears there. So great functionality, very similar to what we had in bolt.new. Coming into create run, I'm assuming this is going to be super similar in terms of the design issue, but let's go fast 5K, choose the date and time, location, Melbourne, estimated length 5.5K, and 1 minute. It's a very fast run, and creates it, and we can see that in this case it navigates us to the page. In bolt.new it took us back to the feed, so really nice little detail here. So even though it's missed on this style, thinking about the actual interaction is a bit better here. So that's great. If we come to connections now, okay, we can see the connections. We can see that it's thought about this just a tiny bit more in terms of it might require some kind of status, so that if you send a connection, it might actually has to be approved by the person that you're trying to connect with. So we can see the people that we're connecting with. If we've tried to connect with someone, we can see that in sent, I'm guessing. And yeah, we've got the ability to search for users here. And yeah, it looks like there's, well, I guess we're Alice, so if we want to find Bob, there we go. So really nice little search functionality that it built in. It shows we're already connected here. But either way, little nice interaction there on this search functionality. So, and we can click into Bob's runs here. So yeah, nice setup of connections, tiny bit more thought out. Same miss on the UI, which is just going to be pretty consistent. And then we can come into our profile, see connections, see runs, and everything there. So ultimately, really cool in terms of what this was able to produce. Very similar to what Bolt came up with, which again shows that how you use these things is more important than necessarily which one you use. That was really helpful in terms of giving you a bit of a vision into what AI agents can currently do in terms of software development today.